Hello, my royal lovelies. Welcome back to the channel, and as always, welcome to my home. In today's video, I want to be talking about what we have just witnessed with Trooping the Colour. So if you haven't seen it, it is up on YouTube on many different channels in its entirety. So please do go and check that out so you know what I'm talking about. So I'm not going to be explaining in this video all the ins and outs of the military manoeuvres and the different music. There was far too much for me to make notes on and write down. So what I'm going to be talking about is just the major sort of general themes that we saw. But we did, of course, welcome back Catherine, the Princess of Wales, to royal public life. We don't know how many more appearances she's going to have after this. We do know that she wants to attend, she wishes to attend some events over the summer, but we don't know what those are, and we don't know if she'll be well enough to attend any. But we fingers crossed that she is, and it was fabulous seeing her today. She is not going to be at the Garter ceremony on Monday, so we will not expect to see her. But today's Trooping the Colour was, of course, the Irish Guards, of course, of which she is colonel. So I think she felt that it was important for her to be there. And it was really lovely to see George, Charlotte and Louis. I'm going to start by sort of kicking off with the carriage procession. So in the first carriage, we had Lady Louise Windsor, of course, daughter of the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, Sophie and Edward. So Sophie was in the carriage with Lady Louise and the Duke of Kent. So on the way out, oh, by the way, the weather's been atrocious in the UK right now. And the reason why we have Trooping the Colour normally in June is because it was kept in June. I think it was George III who started Trooping the Colour, and his birthday was in June. So successive monarchs have kept it in June, even if it's not their birthday, because of the weather. It's supposed to be much more of a better chance of having some sun and dry weather in June than it is in November or whatever. But today the heavens opened and yeah, it rained. So on the way out, they had an open carriage, but it had a hood. The sort of carriage that you might see in Bridgerton. So the hood was up and it covered on the way out the Duke of Kent and the Duchess of Edinburgh, Sophie. And poor Lady Louise, who was dressed up to the nines, looking absolutely splendid, sat stoically in the carriage like this. And it was raining on her. And I thought, oh, she drew the short straw there, didn't she? But she took one for the team. She really did. But on the way back, the Duke of Kent took pity because it was torrential on the way back. In the middle of the ceremony, when they were doing all the manoeuvres, the weather actually held off. It wasn't too bad. So for the main part of the parade was okay. It was fine. On the procession coming and then procession coming back, rain. But on the way back, it was torrential. So the Duke of Kent did swap. so Lady Louise did get some coverage under the hood. I don't know if there was another entirely enclosed carriage available for them, but it probably would have been a good option. But Lady Louise took one for the team. She is stoic. I think she definitely has some of that Windsor makeup in her DNA. She just sat there stoically, and I was impressed. I was impressed by Lady Louise. So yes, big thumbs up to Lady Louise. Then in the next carriage, there was the Gloucesters and Sir Timothy Lawrence. Sir Timothy Lawrence being the husband of Princess Anne, who was riding in the procession, the King's procession, behind the King and Queen's carriage. So he was there in line with, she was there, Princess Anne, with Prince William, the Prince of Wales, and the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Edward. So they were directly behind the King and Queen's carriage. We also, of course, then we had, of course, the King and Queen's carriage. So it was really nice to see them. They were in the Scottish State Coach. The King has been taking part in Trooping the Colour since he was 2 years old. And I do believe that was in 1951 was his first appearance at Trooping the Colour. So this is something that he is very familiar with. He has a keen eye for detail, just like his mother. So at the end of every Trooping the Colour, the Sovereign talks to the team behind it, and they will raise any issues or any flaws or anything that they find. But considering the weather, I didn't spot anything that was amiss. So I think they all did a fantastic job. and the riders controlling the horses, because of course these are working live animals. There is so much that could go wrong with these state sort of, well, it's not a state occasion, believe it or not, but it is it's the second biggest ceremonial that we have in the UK, behind the state opening of Parliament every year. So this is a big ceremonial. A lot of rehearsal will have gone into it. These animals, the horses, are highly trained. So everyone did exceptionally well. Then, of course, we had the carriage with the Princess of Wales, Catherine, and Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. It was fabulous to see Catherine. After all these months, after 6 months of no public engagements, it was fabulous to see her out and about, and there could be no accusations of AI footage or photoshopped photos. There she was in the flesh, and captured by all the different television cameras and people that could see them and were waving at them. So I think she looked well. I know by her own admission she said she's not out of the woods yet. Of course, we had that photograph and message yesterday, which I made a video on. So if you haven't seen my take on that, please go watch the previous video. But she said she's not out of the woods, but she looked well, I will say. And someone commented in the comments on that video, didn't I say round about Christmas that she wasn't looking well? No, I said it for November. I said, if you remember the Remembrance Sunday appearance, I said that she wasn't looking fresh, shall we say. And I could tell that there was something, but there was no evidence to support that there was anything amiss at that time. So I just put it down to her looking, maybe there was something busy going on, maybe she was tired. The grey November weather doesn't do good for anyone's skin or complexion. The shadows cast, bad photo angles, all that different things. But I could probably put my finger on at that moment there being some kind of issue going on. And then of course it all unfolded the way that it did, unfortunately. But it was great to see her back, and she looked incredible. Now, what she was wearing, I do believe it was a Jenny Packham outfit. It was very sort of naval in look, I would say, and a matching Philip Tracy hat to accompany. Now, Princess Charlotte was kind of dressed really to tie in with Catherine, and she did. And of course the boys wearing that navy blue being synonymous with the then Cambridges and now Wales. They always seem to favour blue, and I always wonder whether or not that's because of the blue sapphire engagement ring that William gave to Catherine, which of course famously was given to Diana by Prince Charles. She picked it. She picked it out of a selection box. Wouldn't that be nice to have a selection box of rings brought to you, and you can choose a massive Ceylon sapphire surrounded by diamonds? One can only dream. Anyway, Catherine has it now. And I always wonder whether or not the sort of blue theme came from that. But it does seem to suit all of them. Obviously, Prince William, Prince Edward and Princess Anne were wearing military uniform, and the King was wearing an Irish Guards uniform. So everyone sort of fitted in with the theme. But yes, the King is Colonel-in-Chief of all of the different regiments. I think I caught that Prince William was riding a horse called Derby. And yes, they were riding, of course, in the Sovereign's procession. Flags were lining the Mall, the processional route from Buckingham Palace to Horse Guards Parade, which is not very far away. And there was also the Commonwealth nation flags as well. So the Commonwealth being very important because, of course, the sovereign, King Charles, is not just the King of England or the United Kingdom. He is, sovereign of many Commonwealth nations as well. So this Commonwealth is hugely important to the King and the Queen. The King has spent, his entire life being part of an active part of the Commonwealth at a very high level, serving and dutiful. So it means a lot to him. And of course, the King and the Queen are both keen horse people. So the different horses would have definitely caught their eye. Two of the main horses were Apollo and Juno, and they were named or sort of welcomed, if you like, by Queen Camilla. So I imagine that there was a lot that the king most definitely is familiar with. And like I said, he's got that keen eye. He will know everything that goes on in that ceremony, inside and out. I'm glad they had the bad weather provision for the enclosed coach. So the Scottish state coach is mostly glass. It's got 2 glass panels on the top, and then it's all glass panels, so you can get a really good view. That carriage didn't seem to get steamed up, but the Wales's carriage got very steamed up on the return journey. So you could see George, Charlotte and Louis wiping the windows, and then Catherine saying, no, no, no. But of course, I think the children were correct, because it was all steamy and we couldn't see them. So, but maybe next time they should have a cloth in there. I always keep one in the car, so I think a cloth just for them to be able to wipe instead of using their hands. I'm sure the kids would have used their clothes if Catherine hadn't been sat there. But no, the children did behave well. Now, I know what you're saying, Louis' faces are just adorable. He had that look of, how much longer is this going to take? How many hours am I going to have to be sat here? We saw him looking a bit grumpy, fiddling, fidgeting, playing with the blind window. Oh my goodness. And of course, Catherine, George, Charlotte and Louis and the Duke of Kent, the royal spectators, go to a military office with a balcony that overlooks Horse Guards Parade. So they were saved from the elements. And of course, the King and Queen were under canopy, but everyone else had to brave the elements. So we did see Prince Louis acting up a little bit, but it's adorable, it's charming. I mean, I did see a little bit of the Prince Harry face about him. I'm not casting aspersions, but I did see a little bit. I'm just saying, I'll be brave enough to be the one to say it. So I'm hoping that they make sure that Prince Louis grows up without the same sort of mental insecurities that Harry has displayed. Anyway, we'll get on to... I need to make another completely separate video about Meghan's behaviour today, but I will make a separate video. We're not going to sully this video with that sordid topic. But anyway, I digress. The military part of it, the procession, the precision of the event, the spin wheel, the manoeuvres, the music, all seemed to go without a hitch. The trooping of the colour, and of course the colour would have been trooped in battle. To take the colour would have been, that would have been a bad thing in battle. So that is why they troop the colour. So after that, I'm going to skip the whole procession. After that was over, after King Charles inspected the troops, after there was, they filed past him saluting, they started to head back towards Buckingham Palace. So they follow the exact same route back down the Mall. It's the same, but in reverse. The only difference I think that we saw was, of course, the switcheroo between Lady Louise and the Duke of Kent, who came to her rescue, and I'm glad that he did, because she would have had a very soggy hat. Oh, one thing I do want to talk about the carriages. As soon as I saw, wasn't the upholstery in the King and Queen's carriage immaculate? I just thought, how do they keep the upholstery so clean? I want to know what the cleaner is. What sort of vacuum do they use in there? But the upholstery was gorgeous. It was this plush, and it all looked lovely. Oh, one can only dream of such upholstery, honestly. So then they made their way back, and the sovereign usually gets out, and even though it was raining, King Charles did. He got out, went on the podium that's right outside Buckingham Palace gates, just in front of the balcony. So whilst he was out, we saw the Duke of Kent, the Duke of Gloucester, and Lady Louise and the Duchess of Edinburgh come out onto the balcony, and troops filed past the king. He saluted. There was a gun salute. It was a 41 gun salute. Now, I did learn this today. A 21 gun salute is what is normal, but you add on an extra 20 for it being in a royal park. So that's why we had a 41 gun salute. And they actually mark off, but there's a little bit of leather on their arm. And when they are sort of saying fire and it fires, they mark off with a pinprick on a piece of leather around their wrist how many they have had, so that they keep it at 41. And have I missed anything? Oh, the Queen, yes. So the Queen was wearing a brooch of the Grenadier Guards, of which she is Colonel. And of course, Catherine was wearing a military brooch of the Irish Guards. So if you're wondering what the jewellery was, there you go. That's what it was. I don't think there was anything else I had on there. So then, of course, after all of that, they all file out onto the balcony at 11, ready for the fly past. Now, in previous years, we've had bad weather and, we haven't had a full fly past for a while, but I think we pretty much got a full fly past, even though it was raining. So even though it was raining, there can't have been very high winds or anything of that nature. So it was deemed okay to proceed with the fly past pretty much in full, I think. So that, of course, culminated with the red arrows, with the red, the white and the blue smoke trailing behind that sort of flew over the palace. It's always a crowd pleaser and a really great finish. Now, the royal family came out onto the balcony to see all of this. We saw the centre room. It's what the room behind the balcony is called the centre room. And those doors opened and then all the royals filed out, of course, led by the King and the Queen. We didn't get to see an extended family. I was predicting maybe we'd see an extended family with Beatrice and Eugenie, possibly Prince Andrew. And, a lot of the royals that have supported the King during this very tumultuous 6 months. Of course, the King going through cancer treatment, Catherine going through cancer treatments. It's been a tough old 6 months. Let's not put it lightly. And a lot of the other very minor royals that don't have titles, some do have titles, but definitely not working royals, have really stepped up to support the King when required to do so. And one does wonder if Harry and Meghan had remained in the UK, whether or not they would have been called up to help and assist on certain occasions. But that's for another day. But anyway, the royals in the UK did step up, and I thought as a reward they might be welcomed onto the balcony. We didn't get to see that, but so we saw a continuation of the stripped down working royals on the balcony. Now, Queen Elizabeth II, in her last Trooping the Colour, did sort of instigate this. But of course, it is up to the sovereign. He could go back to full family balcony at any time he wanted. It's his wishes. But he's chosen to keep it as it is. So we did get a good look at all of the working royals on the balcony. Again, we saw a few cheeky faces and the sun was beaming down. So we had a lot of screwed up eyes on the balcony. And of course, from that balcony, you'd think you could have a really fantastic look down the Mall, but the humongous Queen Victoria Memorial Statue fountain in the middle kind of blocks that view. But it was full. It was absolutely packed full of spectators who filed down the Mall. The police led them around the Victoria Memorial until they were at the front gates. So the Mall was completely packed. And if you wonder why the Mall is pink, it was to mimic a red carpet at Queen Elizabeth II's coronation, and they liked it, so they kept it red. So it's supposed to mimic a pink carpet or a red carpet. So it's still red today. And I don't think that will change anytime soon. It was, the weather, the sea of umbrellas. Could you get anything more typically British than this? But we were stoic. We went out there with our umbrellas in the rain and Macs and cagoules and all kinds of things with hoods up, and still the spectators turned out. So if there was any doubt in anyone's mind the popularity of the monarchy in the UK, and if you listen to certain people on social media who like to be, those keyboard warriors, you'd think that the monarchy was down the pan. But no, support for the monarchy in the UK is still extremely high. Despite certain people's best efforts to harpoon the monarchy, just look at the turnout. The crowds turned it out for the King and the Queen, and of course the Princess of Wales and William and Anne and the Edinburghs. Everybody was fantastic. Oh, by the way, I loved what Sophie was wearing, that beautiful yellow. And I've already commented on Lady Louise. I loved the sort of blue and the white, and the hat looked gorgeous. And all the military uniforms just looked resplendent as well. And how did they get their shoes so shiny? I need them. And then there was a few handsome men in there as well, wasn't there? In military uniform. I did notice, my loves, I did notice. Anyway. And there's a growing trend for men with moustaches, isn't there? Right, I'm going to leave it here because I want to get this video edited and out to you. Also, I want to film the video of what I'm shocked and appalled about, which I think will come out maybe today or tomorrow, I don't know. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, it really does help the channel if you comment, do the like thing, and share it around. Share it on Facebook, share it on the dreaded X, share it wherever you want. Shout it from the rooftops. It really does help the algorithm. So thank you for watching. And of course, I will see you next time. So, mwah to you all, and goodbye.